you predicted that Trump would be fuming. And we have a little bit of evidence to that effect. How does Donald Trump feel about the fact that he's being targeted in the classified documents thing, that he might be indicted soon? Well, he would have you believe that this isn't really a topic at all, or would he? It depends on how you ask him. So when the New York Times contacted him and asked him directly if he'd been told that he would be indicted, he said it's not true. But when asked if he had been told he's a target of a federal investigation, he didn't respond directly saying, quote, "You have to understand he hasn't been in direct touch with prosecutors." He then repeated that it's not true that he was told he will be indicted. So have you been in touch or haven't you? By the way, all this is pointless. We know that he has. Maggie Haberman and her team have already said that his allies are saying they talked to the DOJ. And then he goes on more defensively on Truth Social to say, no one has told me I'm being indicted and I shouldn't be because I've done nothing wrong, but blah, 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 all of his past scandals or whatever. So he's gone on record as going on the record as it is when you bleat something out, that he has not been told that he will be indicted. But remember, before the charges in the hush money payments, he came out with a message a few days before they were supposed to arrive and said he's going to be arrested on Monday, I think it was, which was not only didn't happen, but also apparently was never planned to happen. So he already has a recent demonstrated like strategy of trying to throw things off by throwing misinformation out there. So I don't even know what direction that would be pointed in this case. I don't know what to make of his message that says he's not being indicted, except that as we talked about earlier, you definitely shouldn't just trust him. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, yeah, I feel like he would say that regardless. And then when he is indicted, he'll just be like, it's a sham that I've been indicted. And it's also, reading to that Truth Social thing reminded me of what we were talking about earlier when you started to list off his various scandals or whatnot. Like, he does it himself. And it's just so wild that his supporters read all that and they sit there nodding their heads like, yep, he has been the subject of all of these various witch hunts throughout the course of his political career. You know what I mean? Like, it's so wild. Like, it's never happened to any other politician on either side in this country ever, but they believe genuinely that, you know, it's just been made up scandal after made up scandal when it comes to Donald Trump. I guess because they think he's the like lone arbiter of the truth and thus must be silenced by his opposition, you know, through any means necessary. It's such a crazy thing to believe, because you look at it, you're like, how can you just shake off all this wrongdoing and vote for him anyway? But like, they genuinely believe that it's all made up, despite, you know, any amount of evidence to the contrary. It's wild.
Before we move on to another topic, can I just, like, for any big Trump fans in the audience that believe all of this stuff, you believe that it's all a witch hunt, it's all made up, all of this, from like AGs in Georgia and people in New York and the parties, and it's all made up, all of it. And you believe far crazier stuff than that. You believe that Joe Biden is a robot or a clone or a lizard or whatever. They can do all of this, and they'll do all of this to stop Trump from getting into office. But they won't do one thing that in theory they could do. Why don't they kill him? They do false flags constantly, according to you. They shoot up schools, they shoot up churches, they shoot up airports. Why don't they just kill Trump? Why don't they just have some crazy Antifa plant murder him? But it's really them, it's the CIA, it's the FBI or whatever. Why don't they do that? If they're willing to go to these great lengths to stop Trump from being in office. It's a serious question. Obviously, you know, this is hypothetical. They shouldn't, there's no they, and nothing should happen. I don't support political violence. But if they'll go to all these lengths, why haven't they killed him?
They might tell you that they've tried, and Trump is just too much of an operator, you know, too much of a competent operator to allow that to happen. He's thwarted multiple assassination attempts already. He's too suave, too savvy, and so that's why. Also, whenever he does, I've thought before, because he's old and in bad health, like eventually at some point he is going to die, and like if it's anytime in the remotely near future, like, I bet they're gonna be saying that, like no matter what happens, you know, he could stroke out on live television during a debate or whatever, and they'll still be saying that it was the deep state, you know, hit him with a heart attack gun from across the room or whatever, you know. So, I mean, they will, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Trey's 100% right. Everyone get ready for that.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.